this is fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's going around the outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson! Anderson's up to him!
Oh my god! Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled!
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my god!
God, what?
Welcome back to a new season of iRacing, Season 2 for 2020. Gets underway here at Atlanta Motor Speedway for Week 1 in the Gander Outdoors NASCAR Truck Series. Class C fixed today, and this is top split of the 10:15 Australian Daylight Time slot, live on SimSpeed TV. My name is Ryan Jones. I'm joined in the comms box by Simon Mizzomo and Jay Kennedy behind the scenes. Simon, Atlanta's a tricky track. We've both had issues at it in this week in various races, and wouldn't surprise me to see some more issues today because it's quite bumpy. It's very easy to use your tyres up, and looking at the track time, the car's probably going to be pushing quite a bit as well coming off the corners.
Yeah, absolutely. Welcome everyone once again to a new season. But yeah, as you said, this is a very technical track. It doesn't look overly technical, but you'd be surprised when you get out there, especially with these trucks. They tend to sort of wear the tyres out a bit more aggressive than the other cars with the lower grip levels as such. So be very much focused on trying to keep the tyres underneath them. 40 laps this race. So yeah, it'd be all about that magic word we always talk about every time we come racing, and it's the magic tyre.
Indeed, qualifying currently underway. Currently fastest is Ibai Perez de Aralaculia Lascars with a 30.549. Indio Bea is second. 2/10 adrift for him, so that's a decent lead there for Lascars.
I'm impressed you got the name out in one hit. I was thinking, he's got it. He's absolutely got it. It's brilliant.
That's a fluke, that one. I'm sticking to Lascars from the rest of the race now.
Should shorten it back. We've got the full name. We'll just shorten it back for this one. But yeah, no, very good time by him at the moment. So got a bit of a nice little gap out in front. As you can see, a few guys finishing up their laps at the moment. Although it looks like Jason's actually just leaving the pits at the moment to start his run. So leaving it very late in the session to get his quality run underway.
Very experienced campaigner is Martin, number 1 in the session, as he so often is when we see him in these races. And he's going to run this high line up middle of the track through 3 and 4 on this out lap to get the biggest sort of turn of speed he can to get this first lap underway. Second lap should be quickest as the tyres got to temp, but don't really know how the car's handling on the track temp out there. It's 41 degrees, so it's quite hot. First lap might be quickest as a result of that. See through turn 1, he just missed that white line down on the inside. Might not have got it turned as much as he wanted to. And 3 and 4 takes a very wide arc to enter the corner.
Yeah, because he's getting right down to that line. He got a much better run through 3-4. Very nice run as he comes to the line. So we'll see what time he's going to put away. He will go third fastest, 0.085 off pole. So very, very good time. Definitely will be up the front, which will be good to sort of help get him a good run for the start of the race, get out of trouble, and see if we can string one together. Go for another win.
Still got one more attempt though in qualifying. Gets those left sides below the white line through 3 and 4. That should really help him to keep that car glued through the corner. As tight as he can, through the tri-oval goes to pole position with a 30.531. And Martin puts himself in the spot where he so often is in these qualifying sessions. Lascar still sits second, so a good time from him. And Bea third. Fiorini back there in fourth. 14 drivers have set times. Donald Baldwin and Andrew Hurley, the two who have not registered one yet. Still got 30 seconds left on the clock. But I think that is everyone done for qualifying. We've all got it done well inside the time limit then. So let's go through the grid. Martin pole, Lascars from second. and a Fiorini and Bayer on that second row. Jonathan Cross and Derek Fulton lining up from 5th and 6th. Ashley Lear and Chris Owen starting 7th and 8th. Top 10 rounded out by Warren Schur and James Vinning.
And there we got the 3 last rows. So Fran Menendez coming in 11th. Daniel Espina Garrido coming in 12th. Mitch McLeod, he'd be a bit disappointed with 13th for the grid. Clarence Clifton in 14th. And obviously the last 2 guys didn't put in the time. Darren Baldwin and Andrew Hurley.
16 car field, 32 registered for this time slot. So unfortunately, it's split. And we've been getting super unlucky on that, haven't we, Simon? It always seems to split. Where we look at it just before it goes green. And we think, yep, we're going to have about a 20 car race. Then we look again 30 seconds later, and there's 32 people registered. But 16 should be a good number for a good race here.
We're just too popular. That's our problem. Everyone wants to come and be broadcasted by us. Everyone wants to have you pronounce their name. Obviously, that's what's bringing them all to this one.
Yeah, no, I don't think that's it.
He's trying to give you a bit of confidence.
I think I called him Araculia instead of Aralukia, so I think I bottled the name. Try to get the end of the race, maybe.
Have a few more attempts at it during the race. You'll probably have it nailed.
Yeah. Let's see. We still got a minute before the pace car is going to roll off here, unless everyone grids up before the timer runs down, which doesn't often happen in these official races. Just one lap onto the pace car. It's only 1.5 miles long. 40 laps ahead of us, so no one is going to be pitting for tyres or for fuel. Fuel can go the distance, plus the sole green light checker attempt that we do have up our sleeves if we need it. If a caution does come out, though, the abrasive nature of this track, I think it's going to warrant the entire field diving down after just maybe even 2 or 3 laps of running out there in race conditions. Let's see and watch and wait and learn. See how this race unfolds with Martin from pole. Lascaux, we haven't seen him in this time over the last few weeks, have we, Simon? So it'll be interesting to see how his race pace holds up compared to Jason. Neo Bayer and Angelo Fiorini, we know they're both good drivers as well. And Mitchell McLeod's back in 13th. I think he won the last time we broadcasted this a couple of weeks back, the final race of season 1.
Yeah, I think he did off memory. It was a very controlled race, which is unlike Mitch, but you know, he has his moments sometimes. He can string a race together. But yeah, I was having just sort of looking at like the tyre strategy for this race. I was having a look at the race earlier, and it was Inigo Bayer who was actually leading that one, and I actually noticed there was about a 2-second drop off, 2.5 second drop off in lap times from about the start of the race towards the end. You sort of notice around the lap 20 mark, that's where you notice a big drop off. They're about a second and a half dropping off on the times. So I think it's probably going to be that sort of thing. For initially, I don't think the tyres are going to be too bad for those first few laps, but as you sort of say, when you get further and further on, if a safety car comes out, that tyre strategy is going to be a very key element in this one.
Let's find out then. Almost bottom of the hour, past 2 p.m. in sim time. The sun beating down onto this 1.5 mile oval. The field is going to be released as Jason Martin jumps on that throttle. The green flag flies up in the flag stand. And Lascaux is going to be under pressure here from Inio Bayer down to his inside. And in fact, Fiorini going to dive down there too. So Lascaux with the poor start, going to go backwards, maybe even back to 4th place here.
Yeah, no, a bit of a very good start once again by Jason. But yeah, the pack seems to have separated a little bit. The front lot got a very good jump, but yeah, Jonathan Cross at the moment seems to be the leader of the second pack. Didn't quite get as good of a run off the line as everyone else did, but we'll see what happens to them. Obviously, very long race with the tyres to play out, so just sort of letting them sort themselves out. You can see we've got further up the field a couple of guys side by side, although Chris Aon gets in front to take 5th place, and then obviously Lascos and Fiorini have sorted themselves out as well, so now everyone in a single file run. That's the entire field at the moment. Everyone's just single file. You can see Menendez down the back of the field. He's dropped right off the back of the pack, so I'm not quite sure what has happened to him there. I have to go back and have a bit of a look, but yeah, it's not where you want to be this early in the race.
Whole field pretty much single file, all in each other's wake here. Top 11 especially so, all bunched up. Lascos last time by into turn 3, got that rear end a little bit loose entering the corner, almost slapped walled right side of that machine. Takes a bit more of a conservative line this time through. Jason Martin hasn't been able to open up much of a gap at all. In fact, at the line, he's only got 1.5, close to 0.2 of a second back to Eddie O'Barrett in second. He's firmly tucked into that slipstream, and if he gets a good run out of any of these corners, Martin's going to have to watch out for a potential move for the driver of that number 6.
I can see further back in the pack, Jonathan Cross and Ashley Lee. Ashley seems to want to get it pushing forward. We can also see Mitch McLeod. He's made his way forward. He's up 4 spots at the moment. So the 2 Torque drivers obviously want to get forward, and Jonathan's going to have a bit of a hard time trying to keep both of them behind. We've also got Derek Fulton in front. Seems to be a bit of a bottleneck being made right there at the moment, as we can see Ashley going to the inside on Jonathan. He's going to need to get a really good run out of 2, but it doesn't look like he's going to get there. You have to slip it behind and maybe try and find another spot to overtake.
You're going to be patient sometimes and make sure you set up the move. Back up the entry, drive through the corner, get to full throttle as early as you can to get the run out of the corner, get to their inside or the outside, whatever line you prefer or works best to make the overtake happen, and get it done in the next corner. You often need about a lap to get a move done, and especially at a place like this, the conditions we have, it's a bit hard to pass. You've really got to be careful of how you do it. We saw Ashley Lear have that look down to the inside. It didn't come off the back of any sort of run, and he lost momentum coming out of the corner, and Mitchell McLeod actually closed up to him. So you just got to watch a little bit here about how aggressive you be, because actually it has got McLeod behind him. They are teammates, but they are both aggressive drivers, so you don't want to give either of them an incentive.
No, exactly. You leave the door open, they'll definitely be the ones to have a go at it as well. So I also noticed too, during that scrap, we also had Fiorini and Lascos having a bit of a battle as well for position. Lascos did get side by side with Fiorini, but as we sort of were already saying, like you were sort of saying, it's very, very hard to get the run done. He couldn't get the run into one to finish the pass off. So once again, he's had to fall in behind. I think it's probably the thing with these trucks at the moment. They really struggle with the sort of the top end speed. Especially if you're trying to get a run on someone, you really want to get out of the corner well so you can use that momentum, especially down the back straight. I feel like that's probably where your best passing spot's going to be, sort of down this back stretch into 3. It's sort of, yeah, you can get a really nice run through there onto the front straight and sort of hold that position. So last couple of guys we've seen have that run into 1, just can't quite get there.
Jonathan Cross has got to the inside of Fulton. Door to door through 3 and 4, almost making contact, and he's going to drive deep into the corner. Ashley Lear thinks about 3 wide, thinks better of it, and tucks in behind the number 10, who now is stuck side by side with Derek Fulton. And Mitchell McLeod is going to get to the outside of his teammates. So they've got 2 by 2 here in the battle for P6 in this one, dropping bucket loads of time. It's like top 5 now. And McLeod and Lear switch around. McLeod gets to the inside, and now Lear up against that fence, got a little bit loose, and goes in behind the Torque Inc. teammate. Jonathan Cross going to slide up in front of Fulton.
Yeah, very good run. And here comes, Fulton's going to come back at him again. So this one's definitely not going to be over. Very interesting thing to note, especially for later in the race. That top line gets very, very difficult to hold, as we've noticed with the racing that we've done over this week as well, Ryan, that once you sort of get the later into the stint, very much so. Well, I noticed it very much so that, yeah, as soon as you get put onto that top line, it's very hard to hold that position. So it's good for, obviously, looks like Fulton's going to get the job done. And, he's going to, looks like Jonathan Cross is going to get freight trained at this point. Like I said, sitting up on that top line, there's not a lot of grip there. You can't really keep the momentum up, especially around the mid-corner, and that's where it's allowing everyone else to get a very, very nice run. And, he's going to be losing all these positions, I think, even James Vinning is going to have a go as well. If he gets a good run into one, Jonathan very up high. Yep, that's going to be enough for Vinning to get the run. Oh, he's gone right out wide. Don't do that. I know that from personal experience. Don't ever let yourself run that far. So he's got the job done, but yeah, got to be very careful about that, especially out of two, just letting the car run a bit too far wide. You could squeeze the guy up against the wall and it's not going to end well.
3 cars. Throw them under a blanket here in this battle for P2, and you can make the outside work. There's a way to do it. If you run that high line, and if you have the faith in the ability of the driver to your inside, you can pinch them down to that white line, and basically run door to door through the corner. They can't get on the throttle because as soon as they do, they'll wash up into you. You're able to get onto the throttle much easier and earlier and nicer than them, and you can actually get the run out of the corner and potentially even clear them. I recall doing that to you to great effect last night, Simon. But as the tyres wear, it does become more difficult, but definitely still an option. But it is tricky to do lap after lap because one slight mistake for either driver will result in both of you being out of the race.
Showing your tactics there, aren't you? Squeezing them down to the bottom line. But yes, no, it is plausible. Like I said, this is just from what I've sort of noticed. It's just, yeah, once you get up high, it can be done, but it's quite difficult. If you get that little bit too high, then it just becomes impossible. As you can see there, these three are going hard at it at the moment. So looks like Lascaux is going to go for a look into one. Oh, big checkup! Big checkup. Fiorini's just, Bayer's just checked right up in the mid corner. That hasn't helped either of them at all. So that's really affected Lascaux. He couldn't keep the momentum going. That's just allowed Fiorini to duck back in front. So now he's going to have to try and make another attempt into one. But he's getting a very nice run out of 4. He might have a go across the grass, looking for every opportunity. So he really wants to get past Fiorini, doesn't he?
Potentially being a bit too aggressive in his attempts to get by him, and he's not quite been able to pull it off yet. His tyres might be starting to hurt now from this challenge that he's mounting on the back of Fiorini. As he gets up to his back bumper again off of 4, Fiorini drives that shallow line through that triangle on the front. Well, not really as straight, is it? And Lascaux is going to try to drive around the outside here. And if he can get a run, get to his outside, he may be able to try that move I said about earlier, but look at that run for Fiorini out of turn 2. Pulls way out ahead of him.
Just a bit of a side note as well, just noticed that last lap, Derek Fulton was the fastest person last time around, and you can sort of see he's starting to catch up on the back of Chris Aon as well. He's definitely got a bit of pace going at the moment, so a bit of a late charge happening here. You sort of noticed earlier he was stuck in that little bit of a pack for a little bit, so obviously preserving himself, waiting for a later run, but he's definitely got good pace. He comes out of 2. It's a beautiful run out of 2. Chris is not even going to try to defend that one. He knows he can't do it. He's just going to get underneath, hits the bottom line. I reckon he's going to have this one done. Yep, Chris just sort of lets him go, drops him behind. So Chris would be smart to just keep him behind him. Try and see if Derek will actually drag him to the front pack, which is still battling hard at the moment. Looks like Fiorini is about to have another attack at second place.
See if he can get this done before Lascaux regroups and gets back to him. Bayer 1.2 seconds off of Jason Martin. We saw the top 5 hang with Martin pretty well off the start for about 6 or so laps. And he's slowly been able to eke out a bigger and a bigger lead since then. Holding onto his tyres very nicely, yeah.
Yeah, his lap times have been very consistent. I've also been having to keep an eye on that as well. He has been roughly about the top 5 fastest guy out there at the moment, and you can sort of see in the lap times very consistent. He's getting a couple laps sort of in within a tenth of each other, so that's what's allowing him just to sort of eke this gap out little by little. Obviously with the guys behind, they're back at it again. Derek's going to be having a look at joining into this battle too. This is only going to help Jason stretch that gap a little bit more. You can see Fiorini again having another attack into turn 1. So he really wants to get this one done, but he's just got to be careful. He doesn't want to, as we keep saying, do too aggressive. He doesn't want to burn those tyres out. there's still half this race to go. We've only just clicked over the halfway point. So there's still a lot of racing to do, and you can't really afford to blow these tyres so early.
Here we go, Fiorini's going to run through 4 this time. He'll get to the left rear quarter panel of that number 6 machine. They'll go side by side across the stripe. And let's see who comes out of 2 ahead as they almost make contact on the orange to 1, but Fiorini pulls out in front, move up ahead of Inio Bayer, put himself up into 2nd place then. And now nearby Lascars behind is going to want to get this move done because Derek Fulton has joined the picture.
Yeah, he's just been doing a very nice job there, just keeping a nice, good rhythm going. He's definitely holding his tight wall, and he's not going to waste any time. He's already having a look at Lascars. Lascars into the wall! Did he make contact with the wall? I didn't quite catch that.
Yep. It's easy to do on an oval because you want to enter on most tracks the corner as high as you can to get, the best arc through the corner, keep the car as straight as possible. In doing so, you basically let the car drift up to the right-hand side. As you're doing that, the wall is coming to the left, and so it's easy to drift up too far and catch that wall as it cuts back towards the corner.
Yeah, I know that feeling all too well in my my development of learning how to race NASCAR. I've made that mistake quite a few times already. So
you're not painting a very good depiction of your oval driving ability, are you, hey Simon?
I'm learning, and I'm getting better every time I go out there, and that's the most important thing, Ryan, is every time you go out there, you make an improvement. And much like the racing in this race, it's just improving as the race goes on. So Derek now onto the back of Bayer. See the nice segue there? As they go into 1. So very good. Once these guys, once again, throw a blanket over them, they're still going for it. Fiorini has not been able to eke a gap out at all once he got out in front of Bayer. Bayer's just been able to run with him the whole time.
What sort of blanket are we talking though? Who first coined that term?
I honestly, I don't know.
One blanket does not fit all.
Look, if we're going to get a discussion about what type of blanket you can throw over them, I'm not sure how well this is going to go. I mean, I guess it depends how long the cars are. These things are quite long, so you maybe need a queen size or a king size doona. You could probably throw that over them. It's like maybe, something else. I don't quite know at this point. As we go back to the action, Ashley Leah has made a position, managing to get past Lascos, who is dropping very quickly back through the pack at the moment. So Ashley was another one been keeping an eye on as well. His times have been very, very consistent. Not sure if he can make it up to this lead pack at the moment, but he's doing a very, very good job. But yeah, unfortunately for Lascos, as we were noticing earlier, very aggressive on his trying to make passes happen, and it looks like it's starting to make its effects known.
Well, I successfully led you down a rabbit hole you couldn't get out of there, Simon. Did you like that?
Mate, I'm still trying to dig up. It's not going too well.
Look at this. Getting closer still in this battle for P2. Derek Fulton right onto the back of him is behind McLeod, and Chris Owen are going side by side. McLeod will slice through on the inside to take that spot away, and Warren Schuer is going to follow him through as well. So Chris Owen are going to lose out 2 spots here as he drags that right side along the fence down that back straight. Let's go back to this P2 battle then. Dropping further and further off the lead of the race. And Fiorini now looking firmly in his mirrors. Inio Bayer is stuck with him after losing that spot.
Yeah, you can see another one of those just sort of dropping back. But yeah, this battle at the moment just going along very nicely. Jason once again out front, being very consistent in his lap times. His last 3 lap times have been within the couple of hundredths of each other. So he's doing a fantastic job out there at the moment. But I think with these guys, they've settled down a bit. Derek, I've sort of noticed he's hasn't really attacked at all. He's just sort of stayed with them at the moment. So he's managed to bridge the gap, get to them. Maybe it's just a bit of conservation at this point. Wait and see. As we get a bit later to race, we're only at lap 30, so there's 10 more to go. Waiting maybe to the last few laps to use up whatever tyres he has left to try and get the passes done and try and get onto the podium.
Derek Fulton almost into the back of Inio Bear. It's a easy thing to do in an oval car. When you're lifting off through the corners, of course, there's no brake lights on these things, and some of these guys might be using a dab of the brake, but even so, most tracks you don't use the brake, you just lift off. It's very hard to tell when the car in front of you is doing that, and if you're trying to drive it into the corner quite far, and the guy in front of you wants to lift off early, Simon, it's very easy for those sorts of mistakes to happen, and I think Fulton there just got a very quick reminder that Inio Bay is driving the track a little bit differently to him.
Yeah, exactly. It's actually kind of funny you mentioned that, because the first thing I thought of was actually cycling is very good for this sort of thing, because you don't actually ever brake in cycling when you're riding in a pack. You only just roll off the pedals and stop pedaling for that thing, so you don't actually cause a big concertina effect. As we look back to the racing, and Derek Fulton is up the inside coming out of 2, running down the back straight. I love the segues that are happening tonight. It's brilliant. As they go into 3, it looks like Derek is going to have that move done. So very good move once again from Derek. Very controlled in this race. He's making the passes clean and very the English word I'm looking for is eventually going to come to me, but yes, he's doing a fantastic job.
Well, I suppose bicycle racing's got more relevance than blankets, so I'll give that one to you.
Very much a lot more relevant. Yes, very relevant. Not even like that. That's what I've been thinking of lately. Is like, what else
Look
could
back
you sort
here.
of?
What is James Fitting doing? He's got an absolute tank slapper going on down that back straight there. Almost got into the back of Lascars, almost got into the wall, almost looped it, but he's kept it pointed straight. Lost a fair bit of time, but we stay green, and you can look at the replay of Lascars' wild encounter almost with James Fitting behind him.
Yeah, I didn't quite catch this one as it was happening, and he just sort of. I don't think he really anticipated the checkup, so he sort of had to react to it at the last second to try to avoid a bit of contact. So he's done a very, very good job at avoiding that, especially with these cars. They don't tend to like the change of direction. Oh, yep. Wow. Okay. He's done a very, very good job to hold on to that one. They don't like the change of direction as we go back to green.
Lascars is in the fence again. Into turn 1, it's going from great to bad to not very good for Lascars now. He started up in second, was fighting hard. He got the fence, dropped back, and he got the fence again. And when you do get some damage to that right side, it may not affect the engine and the horsepower of the car, which is often the most talked about piece of damage in iRacing in terms of NASCAR racing, because you lose that top end speed. But Hurley, Lascars hard at the fence that time, blows the motor up against the wall. Will this bring out a caution?
Keep it going, buddy. Keep it going.
4 laps to go. Jason Martin's praying it's not so. Still doing 160 kilometers an hour. He's actually picking up speed, so he's not completely blowing the engine. But he does definitely have that piece of damage that is so often talked about. I was going to say the right side. If you damage the right side of the car, it can affect the handling of the truck quite a bit more than you would expect. And yeah, as you can see, Hurley got into the back of him, got into the grass, and then got into the back of Lascars, which is why he got into the fence that 3rd time. So very unfortunate for him, and it has gone from bad to worse for him now, because he's going to unfortunately probably cop a DNF for this one.
Yeah, that's not what you want at all. You can see that, as you're saying, he was just struggling the whole race. So it gets towards the end, it's getting much, much harder to maintain control of the car. As we go back to the front, Derek Fulton is all over the back of Fiorini at the moment. It looks like he's trying to find an opening at the moment, but he's not letting him. Fiorini wants to hold on to this 2nd place at the moment. He doesn't want Derek to have a go. We've also got a couple of lap cars up in front, as well as the slowing Lascars. Looks like he's still on the track. He's still going at the moment. He wants to make that finish line, especially with that blowy motor. But yes, as we sort of wind down the laps at the moment, Fulton really wants to have a go at for 2nd place. How will the cars in front play a factor in this one?
Thank God dropping oil is not yet a thing in iRacing, because that would be trouble out there if it was. As here we go, this is the move for Fulton, and a defense for Fiorini, sliding across the track, lapped cars in front, Garrido up top, and Menendez right in front, as Jason Martin takes the white flag. These drivers will take it now as well. One more time around this track. Can Fulton get there? Looks to the inside. Fiorini has to drive it in quite a ways into the corner to keep that left rear out of the right front of that number 3 machine. Gonna come down to the final corner for these two drivers for best of the rest. Gonna try the outside now, is he? Or is he gonna go for the crossover? Gets into his right rear a little bit. But out front, Jason Martin out of turn number 4, car number 1. Pole position and the race win. Every lap led. Another convincing victory for the Australian, as Fiorini did hold on to keep second place away from Derek Fulton.
Oh, and there's a big scrap towards the end of that one happening as well. So Mitch McLeod, we can sort of see he's come in 6th place. So he's made a very good climb up the field. You can sort of see everyone finishing up at the moment. But yes, Jason Martin, start to finish, brilliantly controlled race. You can sort of see from the start to the finish, just kept out of control, kept running consistent laps. Everyone else behind him was having really hard battles to try and get on the podium. It's a brilliant racing for that podium spot.
Poor old Perez finished with a DNF in the end. Not Perez, sorry. Perez last class. Finished with DNF, his engine blew on that last lap. But let's go through the results then, as Martin does victory donuts. Margin of victory for him, 3.2 seconds in the end. For Fiorini, Fulton missed out on second by about half a tenth. Home in third, Inio Bayer 4th. Ashley Lear came home 5th ahead of Mitchell McLeod in 6th. Warren Schurer in 7th. Top 10 rounded up by James Vinning, Andrew Hurley and Chris Owen.
As we look in 11th place, Clarence Clifton, 15 seconds back. Donald Baldwin, 19 seconds back in 12th place. 13th, Jonathan Cross. He was right up the front earlier in this race, but obviously fell off right towards the end. Fran Menendez finishing just a lap down. Daniel Espina Gardillo coming in also a lap down. And Lascos coming in 2 laps down, unfortunately, too much with a contact with the wall and blowing the motor with a few laps to run. Still gets to the line, but unfortunately 2 laps down.
And I think that will do us then for today. We've got plenty of stuff coming up on SimSpeed. What is it? 10 SimSpeed broadcasts next week across the SimSpeed YouTube channel that we're on right now, and also the iRacing Esports Network. What have we got? We've got the Supercars Strength of Field on Monday night Australian time. Tomorrow we've got the NASCAR iRacing series at 9 p.m. Eastern time. Top split of that will be a fantastic event. Has been for the first 4 rounds, should be for the 5th. If you want to stay up to date with all our broadcasts, make sure you like and subscribe to our YouTube and our social media pages at SimSpeed Esports Network and SimSpeed on YouTube. Chuck us a like if you enjoyed the broadcast. But from myself, Ryan Jones, and Simon Mizomo alongside me, and for Jay Kennedy behind the scenes, thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next time.
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got everything outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taking Anderson. Anderson's up to
Oh
him.
my god! Oh! Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled!
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, there we go! Oh no!
That's massive!
This is it!
This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my god!
God, what?